at 973-868-1444.
Well, we are back with you. It's in the Village with Anselm&Marjorie on the South Orange Maple Online Radio Experience. Coming to you every Monday through Friday from 8 to 9:30 p.m. That's 8 to 9:30 p.m. You can reach us here at 973-327-3626. That's 973-327-3626. I just noticed, ladies and gentlemen, that we were actually off the air for about a few minutes. Well, over 13 minutes. Oh, well. You know, these type of, I don't know what actually went wrong, but was a little bit of technical difficulties there. So I guess, you know, whatever I had said, you know, didn't. But these things do happen, you know, these things do happen. But, you know, as we continue in the Village with Anselm and the South Orange Maple Online Radio Experience, you know, we are getting into this article, and we're going to get into this article again. This article titled, you know, Consequences. Facing the Consequences, an examination of racial discrimination in the U.S. revolt among students of color. But in spite of all the inequality, the daily stresses of living with the racism of the school, the young people still have this abiding hope that things will get better. And just after that, I played this for you because I honestly believe that things are going to get better. And we just have to have hope. We must have hope.
Hello, my friend. It may seem a little strange to have a bear talking to you, but as you well know, these are strange times and tough times, and someone who cares about you wanted me to remind you to hang on, hang in, and have hope. Tough times don't require you to be tough on yourself, and things don't have to be good for you to be great. Have hope. Sometimes having less in life can be worth more. Be proud of who you are. Have hope. Greatness isn't ahead of you, but within you. Don't confuse what you have with who you are, and don't let the past kidnap your future. Have hope. At the end of the day, hope for the best. Make peace with the rest. Leave your fears behind and put your faith in charge.
So we must have hope as we continue, ladies and gentlemen. We must have hope. Now let's continue reading part of this article. And excuse me if you may have heard a part of it before, but we actually got disconnected. And I think this 3 paragraphs was very important. If racial equity were a required course, most U.S. public school system would receive a failing grade. Data collected in a dozen school districts around the country confirms what residents of community of color already know. The public school system consistently failed to provide the same quality of education for students of color as for white students. These gross and obvious inequalities are not confined to any single size of city or region of the country. The research discussed in this report reveals similar results for small towns and big cities, for the North and the South, for schools where students of color are the minority and where they predominate. Throughout the nation, public schools subject African American, Latino, and Native American students to a special kind of racial profiling on the road to a decent education. Students who are brown or black can expect to be pulled over frequently while their white counterparts whiz on by. If the public school regularly fail to serve students of color in a single aspect of their education, that will be bad enough. What the research reveals, however, is far more pernicious, the cumulative effect
Well, flexible grouping by definition means that you're not trapped in the same group all the time. I mean, that's it, period. So teachers have to monitor how kids are moving from group to group or whether they're trapped in a group. The worst thing you can do is trap a kid in the same group of people. It doesn't help them. They don't get to know other kids. They start to follow a very narrow path. The path is usually unrelenting. There isn't much escape from it. So we want kids who seem to belong to certain groups by virtue of their own choice or how we put them in there. We want to break down those boundaries and move them around. So if I have a group of kids who I pull together, say 8 kids, who do a little mini lesson on how to infer while you read and how to keep track of what you're thinking using Post-its, then I want to make sure that that kid doesn't remain in the same skills-based group day after day after day. So it's all about balance, it's all about flexibility, because the more flexibility you bring to your approach, the greater the kids learn from each other.
See, so we are back with you. I guess we're having some technical difficulties tonight. Where's that? Our program, maybe something is wrong with our internet. A minute or so. So bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. But we're just going to continue. People ask the question, why are you so concerned about education? I think without education, we are absolutely, many of us. And the thing about it is that in today's day and age, my parents, for example, did not have a college education. And my parents maybe didn't even have a high school education. But in this day and age, many of our kids' parents, do have a college education today. So they are looking for the same thing for their children, or even better. Some of them may not have gone to law school. They want their kids to go to law school. Some of them may not be doctors. They want their kids to be doctors. Some of them may not be teachers. They want their kids to be teachers. But what can we do? What can we really Again, ladies and gentlemen, we just went off air. We just seem to be going on and off air. But I'm going to continue here. I'm going to move along here in the Village with Anselm and Marjorie. Because tonight, it seemed like if our system here doesn't want people to hear this message that I'm bringing to them. They don't want to hear this message. Let me play this right here and see this. Let me listen to this. Take a listen.
Excessive grouping has persisted for a very long time for a number of reasons. One is that I think many teachers just see it as convenient. You know, if you have a group of kids who are not so far apart from each other, they think that it's easier to teach. I think in many cases there's pressure from the parents or advocates of the high-achieving children who are often in favor of having children who are high-achieving and separate from others. But I think that there's kind of a well-meaning belief that instruction should be as targeted to each individual child's needs as possible. And I think many people then take the next step to imagining that the only way to do that is to have children physically separated from each other, either within class or into separate classes. I think that that students shouldn't be separated for long periods of time in any case, and that if you had a grouping plan that you were using that caused children to be separated by performance, and that it so happened in that school that separating children by performance also separated them by ethnicity or language background or what have you, it would give you a very strong message that this is not a good thing to do. I think, you know, we have many goals in education, many objectives, and certainly a sense of being one student body and ultimately one community and one nation is a primary goal in education, along with many others. And if you were using a grouping plan for an instructional reason, it had better have a very strong rationale and be used in a very limited way if it has the effect of separating children by ethnicity or race or language background.
Maybe the hardest part is if you teach, you have to live your teaching. You can't say, you do not as I do, but do as I say. No. You have to say, I'm doing my best to live what I teach. I have a painting by Phoebe of a group that she calls Sister Suki's Funeral. And all the women, there are about 9 women, and they all look like women in my grandmother's prayer meeting group. So whenever I'm obliged to do something, I take that painting and I look at that painting. There's an empty chair. And I think, now what would Grandma do? What would she say? I can almost hear her voice say, now, sister, you know what's right. Just do right. You don't really have to ask anybody. The truth is, right may not be expedient. It may not be profitable, but it will satisfy your soul. It brings you the kind of protection that bodyguards can't give you. Try to be all you can be, to be the best human being you can be. Try to be that in your church, in your temple. Try to be that in your classroom. Do it because it is right to do. You see, people will know you, and they will add their prayers to your life. They'll wish you well. I think if your name is mentioned and people say, oh, well,